Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us to discuss a very, very big transfer story that I feel I'm probably quite well placed to talk about, being it's between one of my dearly departed teams, Aston Villa, and one of our championship teams, and indeed the championship player of the season, Buendia, and it's been going around perhaps now the last hour or so from plenty of well-placed sources that Buendia, the Norwich winger playmaker from that position, championship player of the year, driving force behind 2 promotions for Norwich in the past 3 seasons from the championship, is going to be moving to Aston Villa. There's plenty of sources I could have quoted. We'll go with Michael Bailey because he's the beat guy for Norwich and the Athletic. So he's gone there only 8 minutes ago. Believe the Buendia to Aston Villa figures £33 million plus £5 million of add-ons plus a 10% sell-on. £38 million package. Norwich's record sale. Aston Villa's record buy. So Buendia, who is with Argentina, is apparently doing his medical there and is expected to be announced as an Aston Villa player tomorrow. So I have a lot to say about this. It's a very big deal and a player I've obviously been forced to keep my eye on. Just I'm a championship YouTuber, and just because of his insanely high level of performance in the championship, and also despite the fact that Norwich kind of stunk it out in the Premier League and finished bottom, Buendia still created a ton of chances, made a ton of key passes, and made a pretty big impact for a player in a team that were going to finish well bottom in the end. So let's talk about the player, then we'll talk about the Villa side of it, then we'll talk about the Norwich side of it. Buendia, I guess I must have seen one of his first games, someone will correct me in the comments, was an East Anglian derby against Ipswich, and Buendia played, and you know, the game kind of passed him by and passed me by a little bit, ended in a 1-1 draw, and you know, neither here nor there. Now, a couple of weeks later, maybe 2-3 weeks later, I did a game at Reading, between Reading and Norwich, and he caught my eye that night. I thought, right, this guy's up to speed now. And I was sat along the right-hand side and kept a good eye on him. And I thought, oh, okay, there looks like there's a player there. And that was kind of the start of Norwich's insane run in 2018-19 to, frankly, surprise promotion. They'd sold their best player, James Mattheson. And what transpired is that Norwich went from having possibly the best creative player in the league the previous season in Mattheson to one of, if not the best creative player in the league the next season in Buendia. Norwich then, you know, flew towards the title. Next time I saw him in the flesh, I guess would have been, I saw Norwich play Birmingham, and by this point you couldn't get near him. Absolutely outstanding. I think he played for about 35 minutes in that game and then went off hurt, and he destroyed Birmingham. He was fantastic, and playing kind of off the right hand side, finding the half spaces, Max Aaron zooming down outside of him. And I always say in the championship, if you can trap the ball, pick out a pass, and you're pretty creative, you'll be one of the better players in the league. If you can do it whilst running with the ball, dribbling and taking people on, you're probably one of the best players in the division and destined for greater things. And Buendia's low centre of gravity, comes short, you came with him, he just, first touch was so good, turned you around the corner and could pick a pass whilst on the move. And it sounds straightforward, but at championship level, just cut up defences. And I'm sure Teemu Pukki, who scored a ton of goals for Norwich, will be very much hoping someone's going to come in to replicate that role. So Buendia, outstanding. Norwich get promoted into the Premier League, as we mentioned. Not great. Norwich didn't spend a lot of money, did they? But again, looking at certain underlying metrics, particularly the key passes stuff, and you know, those underlying creative players. I think you'd all agree, for a creative player in a team that ultimately finished bottom, he actually did quite well. So then we get to this season where you have this obvious position of a player who is frankly way too good for the league. And I think what we're seeing now, and I've speculated about this a lot, and I don't really know the truth, but I think this feels very much like Alex Ferguson and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo's last season, where Ferguson, you know, wants to go and win the European Cup. Stay with me one more season, and then I'll let you go. And I think that's, given how early the transfer is, and it's not been a protracted bidding war, etc., etc., and he's gone by the 5th of June, or going tomorrow on the 6th of June, it feels like Buendia was in a kind of verbal handshake, whatever agreement with Norwich, which was stay one more season, get Norwich promoted, and you can go. And whether they even agreed a number, whether there was anything written down, I don't know. Emi Buendia knows. Stuart Webber and the Norwich higher-ups know, don't they? And it looks like that deal has been done. There was a bit of tension at the start of the season with Norwich around the time they played Bournemouth. It was only 3 or 4 games in, and a bit of tension between Farker and Cantwell and Buendia. And I think Norwich played it very well because they didn't have to sell. They'd already sold Ben Godfrey and Jamal Lewis at that point. And they basically said to Cantwell and Buendia, you're staying, get on with it. And boy, did Emi Buendia get on with it. He was absolutely fantastic this season for Norwich. Even better, frankly, obviously he's a couple of years older and that little bit more developed now as a player. And yeah, just absolutely fantastic Buendia for Norwich this season. Couldn't get near him, class above in the Championship. And for the second time, really carried Norwich to a promotion. Yes, Norwich are a good side and have other good players, but it was very, very clear that there was this one guy who was head and shoulders really not just above everybody in that team, maybe Max Aaron's apart, but everybody else in the division. And I think the numbers tell us tons of goals and tons of assists. And somewhat cantankerously and maybe sometimes unfairly, we'd have a look at Norwich with and Norwich without, and the points differential massive with Buendia and without. Okay, that's often a bit of an unfair stat to do because if you don't have a player, you have a different plan, don't you? And every team has a best player, but the numbers were fairly sort of startling. And it appears that the job was done. Norwich were promoted and Buendia is now being allowed to go off to Aston Villa. So from a Villa point of view, I think they've signed a really, really good player, potentially someone who could also then even go a level above Aston Villa. So maybe Buendia's looking at it like that he can, go into Villa and really have an influence on that team. Whereas if he went to a team with, and let's be fair to Villa, it's a big club, but only up in the Premier League for 2 seasons. Obviously, star player like Jack Grealish there. But he's not going to get lost in the shuffle at Villa, whereas you'd think there were other clubs where, is he going to be able to really be a guaranteed starter every single game? Possibly, but it feels like Villa's a good happy medium for him. If he feels he's really a top player, then he should be able to go and excel at Villa. Villa obviously not afraid last season of spending big money on a Championship player in Ollie Watkins. That's worked out pretty well. Close to the England squad, in the England squad, but not quite getting to Euro 2020 Watkins. And I suppose you're now going to get asked questions. Has he been bought to play alongside Grealish? Or is he a new creative force if Grealish moves on? We don't know. We will find out. Certainly, I mean, I'd use Ross Barkley in the 10 position. I think Grealish and Buendia would probably be better staying left and right and having a bit of space between them and coming in, and you've got those 2 threats. But two very, very tasty players there. So, look, I'm a huge fan of Emi Buendia's. I think he can be a real star for Aston Villa for sure. And given today's market, I don't think the price is a big one to pay if he's a regular creative force, as we'd imagine he could be at Premier League level, in a side which, with all due respect to Norwich, is going to be functioning closer to the middle of the table than the bottom, like Norwich were last time Buendia was up in the Premier League. Now, for Norwich, this is very, very interesting times. So, when they last got promoted, Norwich, they didn't expect to get promoted. It was sort of the first full season, was it, of Stuart? Well, it was the second full season of Stuart Webber, but the first season then without Mattheson, first season without parachute payments. I think they were hoping to stabilise and then, you know, go for it. And it happened that they just got it right first go, really. And up they went. And what did Stuart Webber say, the Norwich sporting director? He sent Daniel Farke to war without a gun. They didn't really spend much money. This time around, look, they've had the £100 million TV money last time up. Didn't spend a lot. Had a decent enough spend in championship terms, presumably in salaries and loans to buy with Giannoulis and Gibson, and I'm sure Skip didn't come for free, basically, and Placheta and Hugill, and they strengthened it. But it was frankly still Krul, Aarons, Buendia, Pukki, the same team that got them up the first time, really, or the same key players, indeed, with a few extra supplements they didn't have before. Now, this time, and remember, they also sold Lewis and Godfrey. So we suspect Norwich have a bit of money to play with now. They're going to have their second year out of 3 with Premier League TV money. However, they have sold their best player. And let's give Norwich some credit. Last time they sold their best player, James Mattheson, they essentially replaced him with Emi Buendia. How long you can continue doing that for, I don't know. What I do think is that Norwich now not only owe it to their supporters, but probably to their manager, who, quote, was sent to a gunfight or sent to war without a gun by sporting director Stuart Webber last time around. I suspect we'll see Norwich breaking their transfer record a couple of times. And I think they probably are ready to go big. Not in terms of, oh, you spend money, it guarantees, you know, success. It just doesn't. But I don't suspect very many Norwich fans would be very happy to see, I don't know, a couple of £5 million signings in to replace a player whose value has been far, far greater than the fee they've got. And I've been on Twitter, I was just walking the dog when this story broke. I've been on Twitter and seen some upset Norwich fans about this. All I would say to those Norwich fans who are upset is, frankly, they got a season probably longer than they would have expected out of Buendia. And his value is astronomically more than the money they've got, because basically he's been the key driving force in 2 promotion seasons. And when I spoke to Norwich commentator Chris Gorham about this, he said essentially a player that guarantees you promotion, but a player who can fire you to promotion is pretty much a £100 million player in terms of the income you're going to get for TV money. You understand the argument if it's not exactly those figures. So I can understand Norwich fans being possibly a little bit frustrated, but I think this was a done deal in terms of him leaving. And to the club he's gone to, well, he's a good age, Buendia, and like I say, it's somewhere he's not going to get lost in the shuffle. So I can kind of understand that move. I can see Norwich fans on Twitter saying, "Oh, it should have been way more money and a club in the top 6 or what have you." But maybe he's playing the long game. Anyway, I've had my say. You have yours. Emi Buendia from Norwich out to Aston Villa, we think, completing tomorrow for, if he makes all the add-ons, the thick end of £40 million, if everything, don't know what the add-ons are, but if he hits all the necessary points it will take to make those add-ons. Right, let me know what you think in the comments. Villa fan, Norwich fan, Villa fans, please let me know how you think he'll be used. And is this Grealish and Buendia, or Grealish out and Buendia the replacement? Norwich fans, yeah, it's one of those ones where don't feel sad he's gone. Be happy that you had him, I think, because he's a superb player, Buendia. And more to the point, who do you want to see in now? And how much should Farke be given by Stuart Webber, whoever spends the money, frankly, to now go and tool up and make sure that it's a viable Premier League season after this second promotion in 3 years? Right, thank you everybody for watching. Get your thoughts in the comments. There's a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.